I read a book every day for 365 days straight. And this is how it went. This wasn't an unintentional challenge. I will not lie to you. It wasn't something that I was consciously doing. It's something I've always wanted to do, but this wasn't like a sort of YouTube challenge that I had planned or anything like that. And so really, you know what, before I get into the background, don't forget to like and subscribe because I'm doing God's work here with with this one. Um so this kind of really sort of mixed in with the fact that I've been on BookTube for just over a year now. And ever since I got into BookTube, naturally my reading has stepped up, got a lot more focused, got a lot more consistent. So it's 2025. I graduated uni in 2019, came back to London, and I struggled to mix in my love for reading with work. And I would just come back from work every day. I'd just be just so tired. I just slump in front of the TV, just watching God knows what. And my reading, I just couldn't. I could not really juggle the two. So I read sporadically between 2019 and the start of the pandemic. Then the pandemic hit. UK went into lockdown, the whole world went into lockdown, and my reading skyrocketed. I loved it. So in 2020, from the 1st of April to basically the end of the year, I read like nearly 90 books. It was just fantastic. Again, shout out to the postman. He was on job, essential workers and whatnot. Really and truly, he was doing the Lord's work. They were doing the Lord's work. I wasn't doing the Lord's work. I was on furlough, but I was literally just spending all my furlough money on books. And again, it was a mechanism to keep me sane. Naturally, we all had our little quirks. Some people had banana bread, other people had books. It is what it is. But I loved it. It was the first time that it was the most books I ever read up to that point. Um, in like a calendar year. So great, loved it. Pandemic finishes, I go back to work, I change jobs, I change careers, I go back to uni, I get my masters, etc. etc. Throughout this time again, reading's up and down. It's stepped up compared to 2019, but it's up and down. I remember being starting the Six of Crows while doing my master's dissertation, and then I just had to shelve the Six of Crows, and then I was moving like them ones when like you think a book is dead, but really it's like your personal circumstances that are stopping you from really enjoying it. It's kind of one of those ones, and I could have easily written off Six of Crows as just a dead book, but really and truly, I was doing my master's dissertation. After that was done, and I had a bit of time to read, and I finished the Six of Crows, I was like, whoa, loved it. 4.5-star book. Great, great, great book. Love, love, love that book and The Crooked Kingdom. So yeah, so that was cool, right? But again, reading was still up and down, up and down, up and down. Got a new job that kind of allowed for a lot of more time, and then I was thinking of getting a second job, but instead I just was like, let me just start a BookTube channel and really talk about books and really get some consistency with my reading. And then ever since then, so that's more over 365 days ago, really, I have just been on an absolute crazy, crazy tear. Just multiple books a day and reading every day. And reading is just second nature to me now. It is my primary source of entertainment. I spend multiple hours a day reading. And I do this mainly because the fact that I read 4 different books at a time. So 2 non-fiction, 2 fiction. The fiction, one's usually sci-fi, the other's usually fantasy. But again, I do have, some sort of literary fiction and thrillers that, sometimes make it there. Then with the non-fiction, as you guys will know on the channel, is about everything. Sociology, anthropology, history, philosophy, you name it, I probably read it. Love that for myself. I love that for you guys too. There's some I've, I do put out book reviews with about relatively unknown books. So yeah, that's out there too. So yeah, I have just been on a tear. And you know what? It has brought me a sense of urgency and enjoyment all at the same time that I very much love. And that's a strange kind of mixed urgency and joy, right? Which is a yeah. It's some might see them as opposites, but really and truly, when it comes to reading, especially if it's a damn good book, it's a damn good series, and you're learning a lot, or you're just in and or enjoying just the content, then it can be crazy. So I've enjoyed literally my reading this past year and a bit, and it's been fantastic and it's lovely. And so even though I'm in my late 20s, and soon in the next couple of years I'll be, we get into the whole thing about families and whatnot. So I know my reading will suffer then, but for now I've just got to just bask in all of it and enjoy it to the max, which I am doing. Now, when it comes to obviously reading consistently for over a year, you have some books you do like, some books you don't like. It is what it is, right? And a whole bunch of like books are all-time favorites, disappointments, overhyped. There's a lot of overhyped books, but I'm gonna give you some of my sort of like less talked about favorites of the year. There's a few, and they're very, very good. The first up, I already talked about The Six of Crows. The second would be Crooked Kingdom, which again I gave it 4.5 stars. Fantastic. That duology is so good. Really and truly, it's like a 4.75, but not quite a 5 star for me. But at the same time, I don't know. I may have like done it a bit dirty, to be fair, but at the same time, it's one of my favorite fantasy books ever. One book I lied. I will talk about a book I've talked about a lot. One book that just floored me and that was just so great was The State of Africa by Martin Meredith. Martin Meredith. I have it right there. Fantastic history book about Africa ever since independence for various countries. Great book. Gendercide and Genocide, which I read in 2024. Great anthology. Definitely one to one to read. The next book, Big Brother Watch, which is an anthology about civil liberties in England. Great book. Jade War by Fonda Lee, which is the middle book in the Greenbone saga, is the best one in the trilogy. And I did finish that trilogy during my run here, and it was absolutely fantastic. Reinventing Africa, absolutely fantastic book. Love that. The Councillor by E.J. Beaton. Education Policy in Britain was another great book and really got me down a rabbit hole of education. Because of that book, I then read Children and Race, The Education of the Black Child, Children, Their World, Their Education. So I ended up reading like 3 other books relating to education because of education policy in Britain, which is crazy because that was a random charity shop pickup. I got that in Oxfam in Tottenham Court Road. So nuts, right? And let me actually talk about that too. I have been on crazy charity shop crawls all over London this year. I've done it twice now, where I literally just take a day off work and I literally just go basically from West London to East London and go through like these sort of charity shops. I need to do it for like bookshops as well, because there's obviously charity shops. You never know what's in stock there. But I do need to do it for bookshops as well when I want to go on a very expensive spending spree. But I literally go from West London to East London, and I go through all these shops and I see what they have in stock, and I literally just buy a ton of books, and it's usually the best day ever. So that for me is a day out in London, to be fair, as opposed to just sightseeing or doing whatever. But yeah, it's a strange one. But again, that's one of the things that just reading when you that's one of the things that really opens up when you're reading this consistently, is just actually sort of discovering different avenues to read books, to get books. And so I've really liked that aspect of things. So yeah, That was pretty cool. In terms of some of the lesser books I liked, again, you're gonna get those, but you kind of take it as they come. For example, when like this year, according to Fable, I've read at this point 97 books and I have an average rating of 3.5 stars, which is pretty cool. And you know that there are some duds there, of course. You know, Clockwork Orange was one of those books. That's a very, very short novella. Very overhyped. It's a classic. Didn't really like it. The Atlas Complex, which was the last book in the Atlas series, crazy, crazy disappointment. Literally, it was heartbreakingly bad. Democratic Theory and Practice is an anthology. Um, Again, it was okay. Was expecting more. The text was just too dry for me. Earlier this year, I read the book of the Unnamed Midwife. Again, sort of it's one of the books that is okay, but at the same time, it's like, why am I wasting my time with this kind of book when I have books I really, really want to read? And so sometimes that's another thing that kind of comes with this sort of lifestyle. I should say this reading lifestyle is that sometimes you read a book that you really don't like that you end up sort of like beating yourself up about because it's just like there's so many better books to read. But it is what it is. But yeah, I just wanted to talk about the year I've had and how grateful and how cool it is that I've been so consistent with this while still, being able to do everything else as well. So it is what it is. But anyway, if you're still here, which is wild, thank you. Appreciate it. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and consider supporting me on Patreon too. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening.